The prophet Isaiah recorded a declaration from the Lord that revealed some great insight as to how God works. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Oftentimes we think we understand the direction God is taking us, only to be completely surprised by the enormity of His blessings and the fullness of His purpose. The story of WBNH Radio begins with one man's obedience. In the late 1970s, the Lord began to lay on the heart of Booby Goodman a burden for a Christian radio signal that would minister to our community. In 1980, a board was formed that included members from 3 area churches. The Central Illinois Radio Fellowship was incorporated, and in 1983 spent $10,000 for equipment that would receive a signal from the Moody Broadcasting Network and transmit it by way of a subcarrier to a local FM station. The signal can only be received with a special radio designed to lock in on the Moody programming now available. Soon after, an application was submitted to the FCC for a 100-watt station that would be heard on the frequency of 88.5 FM. On the last day for public filing, an ecumenical group submitted an application for the same frequency.
Back in the early years, we really had no budget. We had a few givers, and we had a gentleman who happened to be from Minear, Illinois, and he died about that time, and to our surprise, he left us some money in his will, about $28,000, that really came in at the right time to keep us looking good on the books. And then a little bit later, a friend of the station had given us an interest-free loan of $50,000, which I think later he forgave even the $50,000, but that was a big help at that time to keep us going. You know, back in those early years in the basement of First Baptist, we had a room smaller than this room that we're in, about 8 by 10 or so, and it was still one of our fond memories.
The Central Illinois Radio Fellowship would be responsible for programming from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. Mr. Goodman's father-in-law offered an interest-free loan for $50,000 to get the ministry started, and WBNH signed on at a power of 3,000 watts on December 15, 1988. The power of the station was later increased to 4,500 watts, and WBNH board members personally guaranteed a $27,000 loan to complete the purchase of equipment.
Well, my husband had just resigned from Excel Foundry. He really felt this is what God wanted him to do. And that was on a Friday. And on Tuesday, the other station went belly up. Now, when I'm talking about belly up, when we had the FCC hearing, it was with the option that either one of the stations could not carry it financially, that the other station could buy them out. And so that's what happened. And so on Tuesday, my husband had to start programming for 24 hours.
WBNH assumed the entire obligation for transmitter equipment and tower lease and saw the check balance dip to a meager $17 in that first year of full-time operations. The station was operated by a Commodore 64 program from a small room in the basement of First Baptist Church in Pekin. In 1990, WBNH went on the air with Share-a-thon in an attempt to raise funds to meet the annual budget of $86,000. 49 listeners were consistently giving to the ministry, and just $13,000 was promised during the 3-day event. In 1991, an application was granted by the FCC to increase power to 7,000 watts, and a station manager was hired as the ministry's first full-time employee. In 1994, WBNH entered Bloomington Normal with translator W264AG. This created an opportunity for the Twin Cities to receive WBNH programming on 100.7 FM. Space became available in the Commerce Bank building in Pekin, and later that year, WBNH made Suite 218 its home for ministry offices and studios. Barb Trechek was hired to serve as the station's bookkeeper, and a new automation system was installed to enhance the on-air sound. Pat Egan and Jim Bullard were assisting with production responsibilities, and by 1998, share pledges had increased to over $163,000. In May of 2001, WBNH founder and president Booby Goodman went home to be with the Lord, leaving behind an established radio ministry. Nancy Theobald joined the staff in the fall of 2001 and serves as the station's administrative assistant. Early in 2002, Kevin Mathewson was hired as production manager and has become a familiar voice to many through the popular program Southern Gospel Moments. 15 years later, WBNH Radio continues to make a difference in Central Illinois with cutting-edge equipment, a capable and caring ministry team, and the solid leadership of the Central Illinois Radio Fellowship.
I want to see people in this area ministered to by the gospel of Jesus Christ and the Word of God and music from this station for generations to come. That as we look back, they will say to us in the station and our board and employees, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." And that's my ultimate goal as president of this station, is to always put Jesus Christ at the head.
WBNH is committed to a variety of programming that ministers to the entire family. Bible teachers like David Jeremiah, Joseph Stoll, James McDonald, and Alistair Begg open the Word of God to listeners on a daily basis. WBNH offers inspirational music, talk, and live call-in programming, something especially for the kids, and news from a Christian perspective at 55 minutes past the hour. WBNH produces local features such as Community Calendar, Southern Gospel Moments, Saturday Conversation, and music of worship and praise. It's true, God's ways are higher than our ways, and what began as a simple desire to rebroadcast an existing station's signal has become a 24-hour voice for the Lord, being used each and every day to draw listeners closer to Jesus Christ. We're bringing news of Him and praising the Lord for 15 years of ministry to Central Illinois. To God be the glory, great things He hath done.